The familiar face, or is it just the front bit, of Alain Prost getting himself ready here. He looks the most serious of all the legends, and he's taking it the most serious. We know he's had a sneaky bit of practice in the cars, the DTM cars this season. He's loved getting back into racing, starting off with the Snow Trophy. I forget what they call it now, the Andros Trophy and all the rest of it. But he is here in a serious machine. So is Johnny Cicotto, so is Emerson Fittipaldi, Jody Scheckter, Nigel Mansell and Mick Doohan. They're about to go racing for the first of 3 little Legends races here at the Norisring. Alain Prost, incidentally, was quickest in testing in all 3 vehicles. If he's let me have a look. Prost is in the Audi of 2 years ago, of course. The Audi TT was phased out 2 seasons ago. He'll be driving in that machine. It's the one that Ekstrom actually. I remember him getting into this car and doing fantastically things at Adria near Venice. Let's see if Alain Prost can do the same. Be interesting to see just how well he's going to run here. He certainly looks decent on the timing sheets that we've seen.
Well, he must be feeling confident because after the Norisring race, he stayed on. All the teams stayed on to do some tyre testing. He was able to get out in the proper DTM car and do some laps. And you know, he's been quickest all weekend in the testing, so he's just got to put that into practice today. You see, you call it Oschersleben tyre testing, and I call it cheating. You know, he was there. Where was Nigel at that time? Yeah, playing
exactly.
golf, probably.
Isle of Man, a couple of ice creams, that sort of thing. Well, but right now, this is Alain Prost. Look at that profile. We saw Emerson Fittipaldi. There's the professorial nose about to go out there and start sniffing for times. If you want to know how they ran, Alain Prost went the quickest, and his quickest time, he went quickest in all 3 cars. His quickest was in the Mercedes, and it was 50.296. So around about 2 seconds slower than the times that we've seen today, Peter.
Yeah, it's to be expected. These cars are older cars. The newer ones are always going to be faster. And you know,
Spengler's wasn't.
It was true. That is true. But the thing is, these guys haven't had a lot of practice in these type of cars, and they aren't easy to drive. Also, to get used to the tyres, the Dunlop tyres, they're quite tricky to get your head around in the beginning, and it takes some time. But I'm sure they'll probably go quicker today because they'll have this fresh Dunlop rubber down on the track. So I'd imagine they'll go quicker today than they did in practice. All
6 will be on track at the same time, and they'll run the speed guns on them. So we're just hoping that live timing is actually going to have it, because for the time being, it's not on my screens. So I'm just hoping that when they do finally move off, that we have that. It's called the Legends races. There's going to be 3 of them at 5-minute intervals. They're going to kick off at the top of the hour. That's in 5 minutes time. Scheckter, Prost in the Audi, Doohan and Fittipaldi in the Mercedes, then Mansell, and Johnny Cicotto in the Opel, and then it's swap over time. We'll talk you through that in just a moment's time. Thanks to everyone who's been on the website. We can't decide, it seems, whether to call it the Legends Race or the Krusty Challenge, as named by my good self. I'm probably going to get sacked for it, but there you go. Interesting to think what you think. It's nice to see that some of you basically think that this is a bit of fluff alongside, well, an awful lot. If this is fluff, they've drawn an awful lot of people. That looks like Jack Roush. Same hat, different format. There you go. So let us know what you think. Mark Egan says, are we likely to get a DTM Masters race series? Now that would be something, wouldn't it, Peter? You might even be in that when you're in your dotage.
I hope I've got a couple of years left of me yet.
Well, that's why I said in your dotage.
I think that's quite unlikely to happen.
Oh, come on. What do they do with the old cars?
Sell them off. There's actually one running in the Brit Car Championship in Britain, an old Astra.
Well, Mark Egan says he'd like to include Christian Abt in the current roster of those that would likely to become legends. I think you're absolutely right. Christian ran very well at the beginning of the season. He's gone off the boil just a little bit as the new Audis have started to come into their own. Oh dear, the Legends, absolutely wonderful. It'll be great to see who amongst these is going to do it on race day. Now, talk about a little bit of bias perhaps, but the man I would like to see here do well, apart from Nigel, of course, we've got to say that, I'd love to see Emerson Fittipaldi. He was a man who I used to watch when I was naught but a lad, doing the most amazing things in 72 and 74. Were you still an egg at that point?
I was born in 73, so yeah.
So in fact, you were an egg when he won his first championship, and then you were one when he won his second. There you go. I'm feeling my age. I'm not even going to tell you how old I was, but it used to be fabulous watching him do his thing, and we'll see how he gets on this time around. Incidentally, when it comes to the testing, Alain Prost, the quickest in the first test, ahead of Johnny Cecotto, Emerson Fittipaldi, Jody Scheckter, Nigel Mansell in a Mercedes C-Class, and Mick Doohan at the back. When it came to the second test, Alain Prost still on top, but Nigel Mansell had quickened up. He was in the Audi A4. Prost had actually jumped inside the Mercedes and was still quickest. The quickest in all three cars, I have to say. Johnny Cecotto got himself up into third place ahead of Emerson Fittipaldi. Mick Doohan on the rise with Jody Scheckter at the back. Jody Scheckter not enjoying the ride in the C-Class Mercedes at all. Then Alain Prost edging Nigel Mansell, who'd got into the Opel Vectra, which is running well here. We've seen that. Nigel liked it, so did Johnny Cecotto. They were both in the Opels. Prost was quickest again, this time in the Audi. Jody Scheckter was in fourth place, also in the Audi, ahead of Emerson Fittipaldi and Mick Doohan.
There's Nigel just talking to Keke Rosberg there. Surprised that Keke's not in one of these cars. A bit of a legend himself. Did used to race in the championship as well. So you know, he's had a bit of experience before, but I guess they couldn't get him out of his motorhome.
It's a very comfortable one as well. But he's busy at the moment with his boy. But here to offer a few helping hand words. Expletive heroes, Paul Hadsley describes these guys here. He's absolutely right. It is a race of heroes, legends, whatever you care to call it, and they're going to get out on track right now, and it looks like there's some handy machines there, at least some handy paintwork, Peter.
Well, that's a replica of Gary's car. Might even be Gary's car from last year.
Could well be. Well, it looks like Gary's car from this year with the number 3 on it, and I don't think it's taking part in this, Peter. There you go. So we're about to get underway. It's going to be 6 cars out there. Goodness only knows how we're going to talk you around this. I wonder how gingerly they're going to go out there at the beginning, because they've got a full 5-minute test here, Peter.
Yeah, well, all 6 cars are going to go out at the same time, and I think they're going to be pushing very hard. I don't know where the other 2 are, but there's 4 lined up. They're going to send them out. They don't want them racing each other, so they're going to send them at intervals. There's a second one just going out now.
There you go. They may be oldish cars, but they are expensive beasts as well, and they don't want them to stuff them up. So it's going to be nice and loosely done. No racing start here, although the clocks will be running on them. I can also tell you that our live timing has just died, which is not going to help our cause whatsoever. There you go, and out we go with Jody Scheckter and Alain Prost in the Audis, confirmed for you. I think that's Alain Prost leading us off here, Peter.
It is, yeah. That's Alain.
How can you tell?
I saw his name on the side of the car.
Well, they've obviously been quick with the stickers here, which is always good news. Crosses the line, and they're going to be rolling times on them right here. Alain Prost on an absolute flyer in the Audi. We're lovely to see how he goes here. Remember the splits from the first of our real races here. Nothing fake about these boys, of course, but around about the 17 mark, he's just on the drift, probably about half a second down on some of the drivers that we saw earlier. But don't forget, this is a 2-year-old vehicle that we see here in the hands of Alain Prost. And he's handling himself beautifully. Stood off the wall a little bit there, though, Peter.
Yeah, he's not quite got the width of that vehicle right. I mean, it's still new to him, and you can see that he's not quite pushing as hard as the guys were pushing just half an hour ago in the Super Pole.
Welcome back. Thankfully, we got everything hooked back up at the Norisring. We understand you lost sound and pictures, and but let me just tell you that I think it's Jody Scheckter has gone round looking like an absolute demon here, Peter.
I think he went second quickest, and well, what we've seen is Fittipaldi in 5th as well.
Fittipaldi here in the Gary Paffett lookalike machine, and coming in after his 5-minute session. We told you it wouldn't last long, and it's time for swap overs. Unfortunately, we also went down as far as live timing is concerned. It's just round of applauses all round.
I'm thinking that Alan Prost has gone the fastest.
I'm thinking Alan Prost is, and perhaps that's what the number one is all about. And let's just scribble down his time, because we've got no live timing here. 49.920. The car's transponders are obviously not fitted for this, because it's something of a show time, which is a bit of a shame. And I am very, very sorry that we lost the line, but what can you do? We're in the hands of others here. But Alain Prost underlining his qualification and free practice, free testing, I should say, that they had. But then again, as you quite rightly pointed out, Peter, he was helping them with some tyre work at Oschersleben. I think Rosberg was in the cars as well at that point and doesn't want to be part of the party today. Might be wrong. There you go.
Couldn't comment on that. I don't know.
Certainly happy boys at Audi, and hardly surprising. Audi had Prost
they've got
and
a 1-2, haven't they?
and they had the 1 and 2 in a 2-year-old car, and they'll be pleased about that. So, charity racing resuming. Incidentally, you might be wondering, I don't know whether I've told you, I can't remember, what the charity event is all about. €500,000. Peter, scribble quickly. It was Fittipaldi in second place in the Mercedes, and their times will be, I think it's who goes quickest. It may be combined. Those are points going from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alain Prost then picking up 6 points so far. Fittipaldi getting 5 points. Scheckter with 4 points. I'm just watching Peter's steam rising from Peter's penny. How'd you get on?
Not very well, but I saw what you saw. Prost was the quickest, Fittipaldi second, Scheckter, Nigel, Cecotto, then Mick Doohan. But what's clear is that Prost is way ahead of the rest, 1.46 ahead of Fittipaldi, which is quite remarkable around this very tight circuit.
Do you know, I still didn't think I'd get out the charitable thing. €500,000 to the winner's charity of choice, and Nigel Mansell happy to be part of that. Next up, it's Mansell and Cecotto get into the Audis. Can either of them better the pace of Prost? Scheckter and Prost will be in the Mercedes. Doohan and Fittipaldi will be in the Opel. Yep, we're here too, fellas. Ha ha. Wonderful sights, wonderful surroundings. I believe you've been to this gentleman's house.
Mr. Schechter's house, yes. He's got the most wonderful house that I've ever seen. I'm a friend of Toby, his son, and went down there to pick Toby up one time, and he's got a bit of everything there. He's got his old Formula 1 Ferrari sitting there in the garage. He's got a Olympic-sized swimming pool, it seems. He's got a couple of tennis courts. He's indoors and out. He's got trampolines. He's got a massive gym with lifestyle equipment. It's just the best house I've ever been to, and about, 100 acres around it. Plus, he's got a farm on top of that, and that's what he does day to day nowadays. He's actually a farmer.
Well, there you go. The only house I've ever realistically been invited into, of course, you do get to drift around and get to know people, and you can on business go there. But Peter Solberg had us round for a weekend. He absolutely fantastic bloke. Same thing. He'd had this extra large bed built with a video wall, which he used to play. I won't tell you which particular manufacturer. He used to race himself.
I think they all play Colin McRae's games, actually, made by Codemasters. They're fantastic games, and I think all the drivers are into them.
Yeah, well, I think he's probably got his own now. Alain Prost, the extra protection there at the front, built in, as you can see. And Volker Streisig as overawed as the rest of us by the names that we've actually got here. It's fantastic to see. So Alain Prost is the man who's leading the points for the time being. He really was on a flyer there in the old Audi TT. This time around, though, he's climbing aboard the Mercedes. I wonder how he'll go and which one he's going to get. He wants the rivet machine, as I'm sure you could guess. Fittipaldi, what a run for him to come home in second place, showing that the old man's still got it as well.
Well, yeah, he's probably the oldest one out there, isn't he? So, yeah, fantastic job.
Great effort from Fittipaldi. He's on 5 points, don't forget. It's just 6 points per 5-minute session here. Prost on 6, Fittipaldi on 5, Scheckter on 4, Nigel Mansell on 3, with Cicotto on 2, and Mick Doohan, motorcycle ace and and cruiser when it comes to four wheels, it seems. Just at the back for the time being, but it could all change. You never know, Mick Doohan might wring the neck of the Opel. I'd like to see how Emerson Fittipaldi gets on with it this time around.
Yeah, I mean, the Opel, they seem to be on pace with these drivers driving, and I don't think there's any car that's really outstanding out there. So the most interesting for me is to see if Prost can match his time in each car and see which one he prefers.
Well, I'd like to see who's going to be nearest to Alain Prost. I don't know what his chosen charity is, Norbert Haug. Everyone coming together for this, Peter, and it's what charitable events are all about. As Jody Scheckter, your mate, looks slightly cramped, more cramped than his best bedroom, I'll be bound. Giving us, well, not as a wave, but nice to see on board, and nice to see some of the larger frames as well managing to fit into these cars.
That's Emerson Fittipaldi, by the way.
Yes, I suddenly realised you were kind of looking a bit glazed there, but hard to see. But then, of course, as soon as you strip off the helmet and you see the absent sideburns, you know what we're talking about. So, one of your favourite looking cars here. In fact, is this your old motor?
No, I think mine got turned into a taxi. I'm not that sure.
It probably got turned into a coffee table after you stuffed it, if I remember right.
Right enough, I did have 2 cars last year, yeah.
And Nige, look at those steely eyes. I'm sorry we've got a bit of feedback, which is why we're not staying with Nigel Mansell on board, which is a bit of a shame. And I think that's Jody.
Yeah, I think the name on the side gives it away there. That is Jody here.
And an awful lot slimmer than Emerson Fittipaldi, or at least looking from here.
Well, he has got a very nice gym, so he should be.
Absolutely right. So tell us what you think on the website. I'm going to have a quick look actually and see what we did lose you a moment ago. We didn't only lose our uplink, we lost everything, including our internet sites. I'm sorry we don't have live timing, but there you go. At least you're getting the legends in action here live on Modus TV. Can't get on board with Nigel, well we can, but it's just fizzing off the scale in terms of sound, and as a result we're just having to pull away from that one at the moment. So about to go out. Let's have a look. Who's had the drive of the day, says Craig Harris. What would you say so far? I think, personally, Fittipaldi, because Prost has been... we expected a lot of Prost. We didn't expect much of Fittipaldi, but Emerson went out there and did an absolutely marvellous job. Will we be interviewing everybody at the end of the day, says Sue. She's hoping that we don't interview Nigel Mansell. I hope we do. There you go. We'll just have to wait and see. Tons of you actually on the website. It's great to see, and thanks for your company on this one. And Mark Egan saying, typical 21st century, losing the feed. Well, we've got some older machinery and perhaps a little bit more reliable out there. Perhaps a little bit more reliable than us. What about the Olympics, says Aid White? Why not have powered sports in the Olympics? I think the only powered sport in the Olympics, if I remember rightly, is or was cycle racing. Yes, you're right. I'm right. Cycle racing behind a powered pace bike. Oh, look at this. We've actually fixed the fizz with Nigel. Hopefully he's going to tear it up. I want to see him go out there, and if he's not winning, I want to see him, you know, getting a bit physical. They're spacing him out, aren't they? They don't want to have any of these boys having a crack at each other.
Well, it's more to do with to give them clear laps, really, because obviously when you're following another car, you get held up and you start fighting each other and losing time. So it's all about that clear lap, and yeah, they'll be warmed up now, so they should all see some faster times this time around.
Yeah, there, the Olympic question once again. I think it was the Derby event, they call it, where they had these pace bikes and the bicycles follow behind. I don't think they do it anymore, but anyway. There you see, they did have engines in the Olympics. I'm almost certain of it. Right, so just to let you know once again, we've got Mansell and Cecotto in the Audis. We've got Scheckter and Prost in the Mercedes. We've got Doohan and Fittipaldi in the Opels. Let's see how they go. This is Nigel Mansell. Great to see him in under power once again. Look at him go. Sitting so far back here, looking so lazy and in control. It's great to see him. Great style of the man. He looks handy, Peter.
He does for his out lap, yeah. He needs to get it together for this first hot lap, though.
Well, he certainly does. He's only got 5 minutes, don't forget, and they'll roll the clock on him just about now. I would like to see a clock on screen. I'd also like to see a bit of live timing. Oh, let's stay with that one, shall we? Now, this will be nice. Coming into his first split, Nigel Mansell. Never thought I'd be old enough to say that, or young enough to say that, or whatever. You understand what I mean. First split, around about now, and half decent. Half decent indeed.
Yeah, that's not too bad for his first split. It's interesting that he's in the A4 as well, rather than the TT. So they obviously think that there's not too much between the two cars.
That foxes me a little bit, but there you go.
I think they just didn't have too many A4s available because they run so many year-old cars that they just didn't have any, so they had to make one of them a TT.
Interesting, as you said, that Prost is out there, was in the TT, and this is Mansell's time. I think he's going to be the quickest. There you go. I don't know whether those times are an amelioration of the first session or whether this is all fresh. I think it might be a mix of the two.
Is that Prost had a breakdown?
It looks like a breakdown for Alain Prost. Indeed. Well, mechanical rather than cerebral, thank goodness. Looks like he's back out there. I think it might have just been a few questions. That is Frenson's colours in the Stern car, probably from last year. And that's Nigel Mansell chasing him down. Looks nice and handy. Come on, Nigel. Lovely to see you up there. 6 points, don't forget, mate. You're on 3 after the first race. He's in P1 for the time being. But Alain Prost has had his troubles.
That's Doohan in that Audi, isn't it?
We've got Doohan and Fittipaldi in the Opel. The Audi is Mansell and Cecotto.
That's what I meant. I get mixed up between my Audis and my Opels, but yeah.
Oh, you've just driven so many of them, haven't you, Peter?
Oh, yes. Yeah, you can see that Mansell's much quicker than Doohan. I'm sure that's Doohan in that car.
And being held up as well, doing him no good.
Pardon the pun.
Appalling pun, and our apologies for it. Johnny Cecotto coming across the line, not bad at all. Well, Johnny Cecotto is a man, of course, who's not unfamiliar to saloon cars, the Venezuelan, and of course a biker as well. He's had such an amazing broad breadth of career, and Emerson Fittipaldi is out there wringing the neck of the Opel. Here he comes. Well, pick the best out of that bunch. Oh dear, that nose, it looks painful, it really does. No wonder he hasn't put the visor down. So any of you on the website who'd like to have your opinions on this, don't forget Alain Prost has had a little bit of extra practice compared to some of the others, but it's nice to see these old boys actually wrestling these cars and just loving it as well as we are actually watching them out there on track. It's a shame that we just haven't got more of a contest going on here. I'd like to have seen a proper drag race down to the first corner. That looks like a horrible amount of fluid coming out of the rear of Fittipaldi's car. Anything we should worry about, Peter?
No, I don't think so. It's only in the corners.
And they're flagging him out, and I think this is going to be Nigel's. What would that do to the likes of Sue, etc. on the site, who've been talking young Mr. Mansell down a bit. Jerry Scheckter, fourth quickest time, 52.126. They're running around about 3 seconds or 4 seconds down on the quickest paces we've seen in this year's cars.
I'm not sure that Prost has actually got a lap in this, so that might put paid to his challenge here.
Well, Paul Hadsley spotting that Nigel Mansell had a strange line into the first corner. Is it faster? Well, if he could possibly find a quicker line, he would have done, and I think it's done the business here. We're just going to have to wait and see. Thumbs up from the Audi boys, and I've got to believe that that's Nigel Mansell quickest. They're loving it, aren't they? Loving seeing the cars out there in these hands.
Well, yeah, it's a good challenge for the teams as well. They want to see their own cars do the best job, and yeah, it's a bit of a shame for Prost because he must have just snuck a time in there. So
and indeed, it was Cecotto that's gone fastest there, and it's all over. Peter, start writing. Cecotto, Prost, Mansell. I'm looking at the screen as it's disappearing, and there you go. We're trying our best. It's just frankly not good enough. There you go. So pick the bones out of all that lot and drop us a line and tell us what you reckon. I thought Mansell was going to be quickest there, but it just shows you. Johnny Cecotto's time in saloon car racing has paid huge dividends, and I think he just doesn't want to give up, Alain Prost, does he? They're not surely allowing him out there all on his lonesome.
Well, I think his session started very late. He's probably only had one lap, and he might be coming in now.
I think they're timing him in now, and so we might get a rejigged order, and that's a bit of a shame. You know, you take the rough with the smooth on this lot, lads. There you go. It looks like Alain Prost may well be back out front. Well, they didn't win the Olympics, but they're going to win the Legends racing.
Well, not yet. He might well spin in this last car.
Well, you never know, but I think he'll probably take it very, very quietly as they swap over. Scheckter and Prost will be in the Opel next time round. It's going to be Doohan and Fittipaldi. Quick, get this written down. It was indeed Prost with Cecotto second, Mansell third. Then it was Scheckter, Fittipaldi and Doohan. I've just noticed something. We can just get away with writing the first letters of their names.
I'll write the times, you write the names.
And you've got the times as well. Well, Alain Prost looking unbeatable here. He's the ultimate competitor, always stays nice and cool, but, well, we'll have to wait and see how he does. They call him the Professor, and he always looked almost lazy, did Alain Prost, when he was racing at the top level. He just seemed to sort of feather the car around, just sort of carry it, bit of an amble, and then, lo and behold, you'd have a look at the timing sheets at the end of the day, and he was quickest more often than not, although Ayrton Senna, of course, had a few things to say about that latterly in his career. Well, Alain Prost, mixed fortunes certainly when he gave up racing, tried to run his own Prost Formula One team. Didn't work out for him despite an awful lot of support from French cigarette makers. But there you go. He's come back. He's having a little bit of a race here and wants to be top dog as far as the old boys are concerned. And who is going to bet against him? So, Peter, is this a worthy exercise? Is it nice to see Alain Prost with maximum points? He's got 12, and look at everybody else. Joint second, Mansell, Fittipaldi, Cecotto and Scheckter, all on 7. They've got something to race for. Mick Doohan, cruising, shall we say.
Well, he just doesn't have the experience of the cars, does he? You know, he's unlike Cecotto changed over to cars from bikes very early, and Mick Doohan just went on holiday afterwards, so you know he's not used to driving these cars quick, and you know he's doing an admirable job in what he's doing.
To be fair, Mick Doohan was rather badly smashed up, and I think holiday was more R&R after a very, very physical career. Fluttering flags, the wind, a light breeze here at the Norisring in front of these amazing edifice where they used to make a few speeches in the 30s and 40s. Those days are gone.
What were those speeches about then? I don't remember them.
No idea. Of course you don't, Peter. You were not even a twinkle at that point in your father's eye. Here we go. It's swap over time, and it's Doohan and Fittipaldi who get their hands on the Audi. Mansell and Cecotto will be on board the Mercedes, and Scheckter and Prost will be playing with the Opel. Do you reckon Prost is going to do this one as well? In the first test, I think it was, he was quickest, and his time was a 51.098. I'm not even sure that time's been beaten here. Where's your timing sheets? Oh, it has indeed, last time out. He got a 50.593. Not bad.
Well, that was Cecotto, I think. Prost was
just ahead of it. Just shy of that then. Amazing. So they're actually getting up to speed quite quickly here. They're coming in now on sort of early Let's have a look, see if we've got some of the first and second test, about 0.3 of a second over the real boys who race here, and their first test time, and that's what you have to compare this to, isn't it? Because effectively it's their first test.
Yeah, the track's a lot quicker now, but yeah, they just don't have the experience of these cars, and it isn't easy just to jump into them and go quick. So yeah, they're doing a good job.
So the sticker boys, it has to be said, they're working rather quickly, getting those names changed over, doing a grand job.
Yeah, I think that's Becker, the company Becker in Germany, pretty much does all the DTM.
So talking about your lines and getting some handy hints from Tom Christensen here. He'll be loving this as well, because above all, Tom is a massive race fan, isn't he? He's just all the memorabilia and everything that he's built up over the years. It's not only his, it's other drivers as well. They all keep an eye, don't they?
They do. I think most drivers watch racing away from racing themselves, and they look to see what's going on. And you know, Fittipaldi, obviously Tom was too young to see much of Fittipaldi, but you know, he is a legend, and that's why he's in this race.
Certainly is, and they're peeling them off, and this is going to say Prost with a French flag on it. They're doing a grand job, and you do have to work hard to get those things off with a hairdryer in order to get the next one on. I think they might well be going one atop the other. We'll wonder if they actually affect the airframe as they go around. Airframe? They're not planes. What am I talking about? Nobody knows. So Doohan and Fittipaldi will be on board the Audi. That disease you had with the naming of cars, it's spreading.
Audi Opel, they're quite similar, aren't they? It's a pity they're not the same on the track.
Yes, well, Mansell and Cecotto will be in the Mercedes, and Scheckter and Prost will be on board the Opel. I would, like some of you are asking, I would really like to see a Masters series in, let's say, just hang on to last year's cars and race them. Why not at half distance or something like that on race days? It would just be absolutely thrilling. Question is, of course, that most of these guys have got business interests away from motorsport these days, as you quite rightly mentioned, Peter. You know, farming, various other bits and pieces, and I know that Nigel runs a big golf course complex. It would be hard to get them together, but it would be nice to dream anyway.
Well, these guys, you know, they're getting on, and even to do a race of half the distance is very physical. Half an hour in one of these cars is very, very physical, and they're only doing 5 minutes at the minute, so you know, it's really not that much, and they can handle that. But I think they'd find it quite hard work, especially someone like Fittipaldi's age. You know, he's been around a long time, and he probably wouldn't want to put himself through that anyway. This is just a bit of fun, but you know, I think, you know, to go and challenge himself to driving half an hour in these cars, plus all the testing and the qualifying and everything, it wouldn't happen.
So how does Paul Newman do it then?
Well, he doesn't drive that often. And
that is very true.
When he does drive, well, I don't know, I think he goes off a few times. I remember him having quite a big crash last year. He
enjoys himself, and that's what we like to see. It's his money, he can do what he wants with it. Jody Scheckter and Alain Prost will be in the Opels for this final test. Mick Doohan and Emerson Fittipaldi in the Audis, and the Mercedes will be Nigel Mansell and Johnny Cecotto. You know, all bar Mick Doohan are on 7 points, and of course Alain Prost is out front on 12. Everyone else has 7 points. There's a lot of pride at stake here, Peter. I've seen race drivers get remote controlled cars and get really, really upset about it if they don't do well. You're a competitive breed, aren't you?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, none of them want to be last, that's for sure, but it looks like it's going Doohan's way. But yeah, I think Alan's really concentrating there. He knows what he's doing, and I can see him coming out of this one being the fastest.
Well, he's first in the car, and he's really in the zone. He's kind of meditating, as he always did. And he's up on his... who's that up on the jacks at the moment? I'm just having a look, and I think is that Nigel Mansell up front? Is he going to be in that car? Can't quite see. It's Cecotto, in fact. Cecotto is the man in the silver Mercedes, and Nigel will be in the other one. Interesting that the Audi R have actually got the mix of the TT and last year's A4, as you were saying.
Yeah, I think that they didn't have any A4s available, because they're using quite a lot for their racers. You know, they've got 4-year-old cars on the grid, and last year they had 6 new ones, so you know, they'll have made one into a taxi with 2 seats. They'll be running that for guests and things like that, and then one probably, well, it'll be sitting in a museum somewhere probably. Ekstrom's car from last year.
We're looking at Jody Scheckter momentarily there, the 1979 Formula One champion. And for those of you who haven't made the trip, Wickster is here, one of our regular contributors on the website. He will know, and he will tell you all, that it's a fantastic atmosphere and the autographs just flow, the stars amongst them as well. Don't forget that website, it's www.motorstv.com. We've got a whole hatful of hits so far. We're well over the 100 mark, and thanks for you for coming in on this Legends afternoon here in the setting sun around the Norisring. A very, very physical track, as you quite rightly pointed out, Peter. 72 laps in all to contest, and these boys are only doing just a little handful. What have you actually spotted, Peter?
I was just looking at the internet, actually. I was talking about Paul Newman, and I have to leave him alone because he's a legend. And yeah, for sure he's a legend, but
well, guys, I stuck up for him.
He still did have a big crash last year, I remember that.
Yes, he did, but let's see how these guys get on. The familiar helmet of Nigel Mansell here, and they've sorted out the rustiness on board with him. Nigel just heading himself through the sequential gears here, and looking nice and handy as well. And guess whose colours he's got?
Yeah, that's Nigel in Jamie Green's colours. On his outlap now, so he should be trying to warm those tyres up and pushing for this first one.
Salt skidder machine, and really having a crack at this one. He's not holding the horses here, Peter.
Well, you need to get up to speed on that outlap to really get your head straight, and so that you can push straight away into the braking zone, because obviously you're braking from a very high speed down into this first corner, and you've got to get the timing just right, not too late, not too early, not locking the tyres. So it's quite a big challenge when you're not used to driving these cars.
Chicotto and Mansell both out here, and we're having a look here at Chicotto's time, and his first split, not the quickest we've seen, but half decent to say the least. And the way these guys handle these vehicles, you can see a little bit different in terms of how far away from the wall they are. They're not taking as many chances. They're not quite at ease with the balance of the cars as well you might expect. Just how long would it take them to actually get up to driving them like the current crop of stars that we see, Peter?
Well, it'll take a few more tests, but the thing is about this is for fun, it's for charity, and I'm sure the manufacturers don't want them pushing them that last bit. The race cars are race cars, and they expect the drivers to be using all the road and even a little bit more sometimes. But this is all a bit of fun, so they've got to keep it safe, and the drivers themselves will be doing that and not pushing too hard, because at the end of the day, it's fun, and they want to go home to their families without ending up in hospital somewhere.
Nigel Mansell on board with him in P2 for the time being. It's all about this. He does not want to finish, or he would love to finish second. I don't think anyone's going to catch Alain Prost, but as you can see, he is fighting this car, and he's not sparing it at all. Good for him. Enjoying his run here. Nigel, of course, a career which had all its ups and downs, huge disappointment as well as, and look at that, trimming point 270 off Chicotto's time, and it appears that we're running on something of a super pole here, Peter.
Yeah, that's a good lap. The last fastest lap was 50.593 of the
Look at Prost, here he comes, and P3 for Alain Prost in the Opel. He's not going to get the quickest round here. So Nigel Mansell looks like he's going to be finishing in second spot if this time holds up. Don't forget there's others out there to play with it. An awful lot of overhand lock there as Alain Prost goes round. Having a look through and looking through the side windows of these cars, so far back are the seats positioned, as you can see. It almost looks like nobody's driving them at all. Alain Prost, I expect this to be a very, very decent split. Let's have a look where he comes in. Second quickest, up there with Mansell. Let's see what he does towards the end. The Professor, smooth as silk. Looking to get under the 50 mark. Crosses the line in P2, not bad at all. And I've got to say, Peter, that looks like the charity money is going his way, or the lion's share of it. know, I've missed the TTs. They're absolutely beautiful, and look at that. It's a shame we didn't go round with Fittipaldi. Super time, 50.433, and they're loving it as well. In the hands of a master, and Emerson Fittipaldi. Why don't you race again, my friend? He's had a crack at Indianapolis, of course, and various other bits and pieces. He's a man who has enjoyed playing with motor cars all his life, and there's still fight in the old dog yet. Look at that, fantastic. Now, before any of you start getting upset about what we're saying about these drivers and all the rest of it, we're just being chummy with them. Of course, it's just ultimate respect as far as these drivers are concerned. They're all superstars in their own right of their own disciplines whenever they've raced. And of course, there's nothing but respect heading towards them. They are just wonderful to watch. And only 5 times so far, Peter. We're missing a car, and it happens to be an Opel. And it is the Opel of Mr. Scheckter.
Well, he's disappeared.
Well, he's certainly not on track. Maybe somebody broke it. I just don't know. So I think we're going to get the final scoreline. As we look at the moon, some guys perhaps in the sunset of their careers. You never know, though. They can bounce back. I've got a feeling that Alain Prost is going to try and muster himself for some more sort of Le Mans action, endurance racing, that kind of thing. Part of a team. Emerson Fittipaldi, quickest round in the old TT. It's a smart-looking vehicle. Looked a bit incongruous, and of course, when it was actually racing, it was racing kind of on appeal, really, because it didn't fit the profile, did it, of the cars that were actually permitted to race in Formula, in DTM, I beg your pardon. But race it did, with some decent success, but they had to amend it quite naturally and change it to the Audi A4 to fit the profile of DTM, to get, if you like, under the racing silhouette. So Fittipaldi coming out, and I wonder if we're going to have a few words with some of the winners here. Fittipaldi doing enough to get himself a second spot in this little charity challenge.
Yeah, it's a great job. You see the size of the steering boss there. It just shows you how far the driver's sitting back from the steering wheel. Oh, the actual steering wheel comes with them, but the boss itself is very long, so it just gives you an indication how, like, if you're in your normal road car, how much you can extend your steering wheel. Not that far anyway.
Yeah, all the cues are for the old boys, aren't they? If you ever go along to a DTM weekend, you do have access to the drivers and riders, and Nigel Mansell, without moustache, but enjoyed himself, but no good, he says, no good. No elbow room. I've heard that before as well, complaining that the cars weren't actually big enough for him at one point. He never stops, does he? So it's party time, a bit of a carnival atmosphere, and as you can see, even the cameramen asking for autographs as well, you might. Emerson Fittipaldi stripping off his balaclava, and nice to see him in the Nomex again.
That just shows you how much they're sweating after a mere 15 minutes, like, broken up driving. So yeah, 30 minutes of a hard race would be quite tricky for them, I think.
It was interesting to see Nigel Mansell get out and complain about elbow room.
I'm not sure he was talking about elbow room or he was talking about the rear of the car sliding around.
Well, I wasn't too sure myself, but when he said no good, I would have actually, I wonder whether he was, I kind of dispelled the car theory, because I thought he would never actually say that about the car. Who knows? You can never tell. Maybe he's just being self-critical and modest. The question is, would that be a first? We love Nigel, we love what he's doing, and it's great to see him out there. And who knows? You never know. They may well get a Legends race, but it would have to be pretty short, wouldn't it, from what we've seen so far, Peter? So, taking the applause, Emerson Fittipaldi and Alain Prost, the man who collected most points and will collect most of the charity money. Is it winner takes all here? I imagine they must be spreading it about a bit.
Yeah, I think a few different charities are going to get the money.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm not sure just how long we're actually going to stay with this. I think we're going to hang around and see if anyone actually manages to have a few interviews. It would be terrific if they did. Well, your guess is as good as ours. We may well be going to a break, although Peter's trying to hold on to the pictures as long as possible. A bit of blinking there. Wonderful conditions. It's been a festival, if you like, here at the Norisring. Super conditions, absolutely supreme. Don't forget, we will be late again tomorrow. It's the same reason. It's all down to the Tour de France. I've bitten my tongue. Hopefully it won't swell up overnight and I sound like I'm slightly drunk on air. It will be that reason and that reason alone if it happens. What have you spotted there, Peter?
I'm just having a little bit of a look at the website, seeing how many people don't like me talking about these guys.
Oh, well, they'll forgive you. They know that you're as appreciative of their talents as we are. They are seemingly getting the podium ready, perhaps for a chat. And as you can see, the grandstand gates are opened and everyone manages to get out on track. It is super, actually, being able to walk the track, Peter, here. You can actually see the view that the drivers will have on race day. Literally go and stand yourself on P1 on the grid. You know, where else can you do that?
Well, they actually open this track up in the evening for guys on rollerblades and bikes and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of people going around the track, and it's a big activity around these parts, actually. Guys on rollerblades. It's normally, the park is open to that all the weekends anyway, so such a great atmosphere and a lot of beer drinking and stuff like that going on.
Surely not. Yes, it's one. Alain Prost, top of the podium. There he is. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. All the great names are up here as well. And Alain Prost, a weekend job well done, restoring yet more pride, I should say, to himself and the rest of them. I think it's going to be Emerson Fittipaldi in second place, and then the rest of them. Don't worry, Peter, they're not being too hard on you on the website there, mate.
I was just looking to see if anyone wanted a question answered. So Alain Prost waiting to get some champagne, which would be nice, or is it going to be a couple of drops of Hasseröder up there? It looks like we've got a priest on the track. Oh no, it's just baggy trousers. I thought he was wearing a smock. So the French flag, highest of all, and the Marseillaise, and why not? Congratulations indeed to Alain Prost and the charity race check. He's going to get the lot, all €500,000 of it, to a charity of his choice. And von 100 Cent, how's your German? Oh, that just said €500,000. Exactly. 100,000 euros.
Fantastic. And he's handing it over to the charity of his choice. I wonder why he chose that charity, Peter.
I had no idea.
No, neither have I. But they have a fine representative on stage, and there she is. €500,000 richer. Not bad at all. Maybe she's just a big Alain Prost fan, and it's the Alain Prost Charity for Appreciation.
I didn't realise that Alain was so small, actually. If you see him against those other two there, he's very short.
A pocket rocket is how he's described. And I think it might be time to wave a fond farewell. I don't know whether we're going to get a chance to chat here. Nigel Mansell on the podium will be a little bit upset, I'm sure, that he didn't get hold of the charity money himself. But nice to see these boys in action. Scheckter, Prost, Doohan, Fittipaldi, Mansell and Cecotto. Names that just trip off the tongue. A couple of questions as to what happened to Christian Fittipaldi. Well, he's tried a few things, but just never emulated Dad, who was on hand here. So if you'd like to tell us what you thought about it and what you think about a Legends race possibility, and how about indeed starting up a little site and getting up some kind of I don't know, list of names who'd like to see the DTM racing in the UK. I know I certainly would. I'd love to see them hair around Donington Park for one thing, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good for DTM to come back to Donington. Fantastic circuit, and the cars are really great to drive around there, but sadly last time we came there wasn't quite the crowd that they expected, and it got binned again.
You see, it's all your fault for not bringing your mates along. There you go. If you do get a chance to have a trip, you can bump into Peter Dumbreck and sign a few autographs. Zandvoort is probably the nearest one, Peter, for people to have to travel to. And a great venue as well, Zandvoort.
Yeah, certainly, Zandvoort's fantastic. And you know, the amount of people that go to that, all the crazy Dutch, and yeah, it's fantastic atmosphere there. Just like this race actually, but yeah, it's a bit closer, so you can maybe swim over.
Well, Wixter came over for this one, and we'll be, of course, everywhere. Zandvoort, if you go and have a look at the Valvoline tent, you might see Peter Dumbreck signing a few autographs, handing out tins of oil, perhaps. Nigel Mansell, when was the last time you had a handful of champagne, mate, like that? Fantastic. Oh, great to see.
Christian Fittipaldi actually drives in the Stock Car Championship, the Brazilian Touring Car Championship.
Well, he had a go at NASCAR and dropped into the bush.
I think he still does. I think he does both.
Messed around.
Does a bit of both.
Yeah, he's had his time. I must admit, I've let NASCAR and Bush drop off the radar a bit of late. We will, of course, check it out for you. But if you go to their websites, I'm sure you'll find exactly what you're looking for. Well, I wonder when the next time these guys are going to get together. Obviously, in about half an hour's time, around a beer table, I should imagine. They're all in decent nick as well, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're sportsmen, and you know, they're not going to let their health and their fitness drop completely. I'm sure they all enjoy doing different sports, and well, Alan still drives quite a lot, doesn't he? So yeah, they're all going to stay quite fit.
And they've got a lovely fruit bowl for their troubles. There you go. I think this photo session could probably go on for an awful long time. Are we going to speak to these guys, boys, or what?
Thank you very much for giving us that great hour of motor racing at Norisring.
There you go. Oh, well, we are in fact going to pull out of this one. The programme is going to end in just a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for all of those of you who've got on the website. We've had a great hit rate today. It's well into the mid-hundreds mark, and fantastic stuff to see. Don't forget, tomorrow we are going to be late once again. We will be rolling at, I think it's 4 in the afternoon for the race proper. And don't forget, what a drag race it's going to be down to the first couple of corners. It's going to be a super race tomorrow, Peter. It always seems to be here, does it not?
Yeah, strange things always happen here because of the deterioration of the car with its brakes and things like that. You know, it really overheats, and the cars that can make it to the end usually can pick up the places.
Well, will Tom Christensen actually manage to hold on to the car? Will Gary Paffett resist jumping the start? Will anyone else be able to catch them once they head into the first series of curves? It's high-speed action, 72 laps, don't forget. That's an awful lot of racing for your money. And don't forget, it's going to be live here on Motors TV. We'll be hooking up around about 4:30 tomorrow, UK time. And it will be an absolute pleasure to have your company. Bumper bruising stuff around this course in front of probably 150,000 people. My name's Carlton Kirby, alongside me Peter Dumbreck, from both of us from the Norisring. Thank you for your company today. It's been a little late, it's been a little elongated, but hopefully well worth the trouble. From Motors TV, live at the Norisring, it's bye for now.